Okay, this lesson we're going to learn about Oracle security and auditing. It is a very wide topic. You know, security is a very big issue in the IT industry today. I get by now you've heard of hackers and what viruses and trojans can do to computers. The damages from security challenges can cost the company millions and millions in dollars. Okay, and the issue here is that you want to safeguard data. You want to safeguard access to data. Okay, you want to, make sure you don't have corruption within your data. Okay, certain things like credit card information, certain things like, your health information, certain things that are private, that are stored, within databases must be kept private. And at times, even this DBA might not be able to even access some of this data. Okay, these are top secret things. Okay, so there are different levels of security. Okay, we have what we call system-wide privileges. We have object grants. Okay, let me just make that so you can see that properly. Okay, okay, here we go. So we have system privileges, object grants. Okay, system privileges are general privileges that we give to users who connect to the database. Then we have specific object grants. These are grants that are specific to particular objects like tables, like synonyms, like sequences, views. You have specific grants, for specific people. Okay, and you have also auditing. Auditing, we have what we call system auditing, and these are things that I'm going to give examples on auditing, system privileges, object grants. Okay, then you have more advanced issues like masking, okay, where your data is masked, based on certain, factors, certain, things that are set programmably. You have encryption when the database, data cannot be read, except it is decrypted. Somebody might get in there and do a select, and you will just see some information that makes no sense because it's all encrypted. Okay, and you have redaction, different levels of redaction, different methodologies. It can actually, cause people to just see a portion of data. For example, you might have a credit card that has 16 numbers or whatever, and you might want to configure redaction on that table so that when certain users connect, they can maybe see only the last 3 numbers. They will not be able to see the complete numbers, because that is private information. And you have key vault. Key vault is especially important when you don't even want the DBA to be able to see it. The DBA cannot have access to, things that are, put in a key vault. And these are very advanced, options here that we'll see with time. Okay, there are encryption, redaction are particularly important in the financial industry. Okay, encryption is more commonly used than redaction. These are features of Oracle that you pay for, and they are not quite cheap, but they are very, very useful for security. Okay, and we're going to start off first of all with user accounts. The first level of security, you want to deal with the user accounts, isn't it? Because the users are the ones who connect to your database, and right from the moment you create your user, you want to be able to control the user. You have different type of user. You have what they call application users. These are not users that actually map to any particular person per se, but these are users that are used by applications to access data. Okay, and normally you want to give specific permissions to application users so that they are able to maybe select, to delete, to insert. Maybe they have certain limited functionality within the database to perform specific tasks. Okay, at times an application user might not have schema objects. They might have to read from other schemas and do other things. Okay, and now you have other user accounts that are nominal. These are user accounts that are actually attached to users, probably developers. Okay, developers, analysts who might have user accounts within the database. Now, of course, you might want to be very, very careful with these people when you create them. Give them specific grants as needed. You always give people grants and privileges as they need. You don't give them all the privileges. Just give them as sufficient for their use, okay? Generally speaking, for an analyst or a developer, you might want to give him the select any table, okay? Or select some tables. You know, you might want to give him the ability to select some views, okay? But you will not give him the permission to modify data, to modify tables directly in the production environment. Okay, you might have to pass through a medium. You might have to present a ticket to the database team, and the database team will now implement these modifications within the database. Okay. Now, when the user is created, normally you want to define the password. Okay. And normally you want to make sure that the user has the ability to change his password by himself. And what you do when you create a user, for instance, I'm going to on our database, I'm going to create a user called, security user. Okay, and I'm going to, for this user, I'm going to, all the permissions, we're going to use them as an example here. Okay, we're going to, so let's say I want to create this user called security user. Okay, I would say create user security, security, I'm going to just say underscore user, okay, and identify by, okay, now that password is going to change at the first login, okay, and I'm going to say, let's say default table space users, okay, and I'm not going to grant him quotas. Okay, I'm going to say account unlocked. Okay, I'm going to go to the next. I'm going to say password expire. Okay. So what happens is that this is a user I'm going to create. This user for now is going to be created in a database. It's going to have a default table space called user, but it does not have any quotas, meaning that he cannot actually create objects and allocate, and consume space on users or any table space. Right now, you cannot even connect because I'm not giving him the connect privilege. And password expire means that when this user tries to connect, the user will have to change the password at login. You understand my point? The user has to change the password. That's why you call it password expire. He's going to get an error that the password has expired when he logs in. He's going to log in with this password and he has to change it, okay? Just remember this because normally in the production environment, okay, All right, 1 minute. I just got there here. So you notice here I put account on lock. Actually, is the default setting. It's actually the default setting. You really don't have to do that. Already the account is unlocked by default. And I want to lock an account and for future use. Maybe I prepare certain accounts ahead of time and the accounts are not ready for use. I can lock the account. When you lock an account, the user cannot log in except the system administrator unlocks the account. Okay, so unlock is actually the default. You don't have to specify it. If I just did that to show you the syntax. If you could just say create users, default tablespace users, password expire, that will do, okay? So I'm going to run this statement. First of all, I'm going to open my SQL developer. Okay. If you don't know how to install it, you can go to the connectivity folder on day one. Let me get there for you. Okay. So if you stay out too long, you'll be kicked out. Okay. So course day one, and when you go to course day one connectivity, you'll see connecting with SQL developer. Okay, when you open this here, it's a PDF document. You can also download it if you want. Here you see how to download the tool and how to configure your connection to the database. Okay, so we have a database called dbserver1, which I'm going to use in this example. So I'm going to I've called it out now. Now notice let me close this tab. Okay, notice that I already have I've already defined certain connections. Yeah, I have a database called dbserver. Okay, I'm going to rename this to dbserver1, which is the name of the server we're connected to, and look at the properties. The property says dbserver1. I'm connected as the sys user. Okay, and the password, and this is the name of the IP, and I'm using port 1521. Okay, so I'm going to connect now. Okay, so it's connected, and automatically on the right pane, you see your SQL worksheet. Okay, this is what I'm going to run. So I'm going to create this user here called security user. Okay, you have to have the privilege to create. Not everybody can create a user. Okay, and now let's see if I try to connect with security user, what happens is that I'm going to use SQL Plus. I'm going to connect to this user using the new account we just created. What does it say? It says that user security underscore USR lacks create session privilege logon denied. Okay, so the creation is not yet complete. I have to now, this is the first grant I'm going to grant you. Grant what? Connect to, okay, otherwise you can go nowhere. Okay, all right, and not everybody can grant that kind of privilege. You must have some kind of, so I run that, and you can see under here grant succeeded. So I'm going to go now back and see what the next error will be, because you never know. So I'm connecting back again. What happens? It says that the password has what? Expired. Why is it so? Because I specified that when I was creating password expire. I did it deliberately so that the user can now define his password. Tomorrow when the user is connecting to a database, I will not be responsible for what he's doing, because I already gave him the chance. I don't know his password anymore. He now knows his password. Okay, only the user has to know his password. So I'm going to put a new password, and I'm going to call it people, capital letter. Okay, it will tell you to confirm that again. So it's not connected. Eh? You know, at times when we create new users like this, the colors that they cannot connect, that is an error. There's an error, and I explained to them, look here, it's not an error. We did it deliberately. You have to set your password. Okay, these are the kind of things you face in the real world, many times. So the user is now connected, and I want this user to be able to select, for example, from a table called under a schema called test1. Okay, I think there's a user called test1. I created test user 1. Okay, I'm going to say select all from test. Okay, test user 1. You see the advantage of SQL developer? Before you finish it, it tells you the name of the user already. Okay, I can just choose that. Dot. You can see before you finish it, it tells you the names of the tables under that schema. So I'm going to say employees. Okay. So I'm going to run this command as Oracle, as the system administrator, and you can see I have the rights to run that. Now I'm going to copy this statement and run it as this new user we created called security user. Okay. You see what it says is that the table does not exist. Why? Because it does not have the privilege to access that table. All right. Now I, as the system administrator, I'm going to grant select on this table, okay, to security okay. So I'm granting select to on that table to that user, and the grant has succeeded. Now, if you go back there and run the select again, what happens? It comes out because now I've given it what we call an object grant. Right now, we've given this user 2 grants. Okay, we gave it what? Grant connect, and now we gave it what? Grant select on test user dot employee to. So we get this connect is what we call a system privilege. Okay, it's what we call a system. It's actually a role. We don't call it. We actually call it a role because inside this connect role there are many other system privileges, like create session. It encompasses, you know, you have the create session and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Come, let me get something out for them. We have other kind of roles, system privileges apart from connect. You have resource. You have DBA. Okay. Those of you who are going to use data pump tomorrow, you have the data pump export. These are roles that have certain permissions that makes you to work with the Arman catalog for exporting, and you have the one for importing. Then you have the recovery catalog owner. This is a role with different permissions that aid in the administration of, you know, the Arman catalogs. This one aids in the administration of the data pump import. This one for data pump export. These are roles, system roles. Okay. You have the DBA role. The DBA role is a role that combines virtually all the privileges, except, you know, maintenance privileges like shutdown. You know, the DBA cannot start, cannot shut down, and do all those things to an instance. Only the 6 DBA, you know, or the whatever they call them, only the 6 DBA or the 6 upper, you know, rows can do that kind of stuff. So always try to differentiate what we call system, because this connect here is actually, you know, a role that, you know, encapsulates various system, you know, privileges. Then you have what they call object grants. What we did here when we granted a select on this table to security user was to give it an object grant to select on that table, on that particular table. This is a particular grant for a particular object within the database. Okay, but you see, this user up to now cannot select from departments. Okay? You know why? It says the table does not exist. Because it does not have the privilege. Now, if you have an application, if you have a user as an analyst that will have to select so many tables, virtually all the tables in the database, that means I will have to grant him a system role rather than an object grant. I'm going to grant him a system privilege. Okay, let's go there. And this is a very powerful system privilege. But the good thing about this one is that you cannot grant select any table to security user. Okay, so right now this user has the ability to select any table. Okay, any table within the database. It's very important. You can select, you can see the content of the table, but you cannot actually, you can modify the tables. See that? So I now did the select on test user.department as a security user, and now I can see. So this is what we call a system privilege. You have quite lots of them, and you're careful how you minister them. For instance, you can say that's what they call the admin privilege. Okay, this one, when you give this privilege to a user, it can perform very administrative tasks like backups, create users, you know, you can backup you can export, you know, you can create, you know, create users, drop users. It's a very, very powerful role, admin privilege rather. It's a powerful privilege, and you have to be careful you don't give that to anybody. Then you have other, you know, privileges like let me just go down. There's a long list. You can always make a search on the documentation online. Okay. You have things like create any table, which I just used, create any view. When you have a create any table, I can create in another person's schema. Okay, for instance, now I can create a table under, you know, for instance, test user 1 schema. See, you have to be very careful when you grant a kind of role like this, create any table. That means I can create a table under any user I want. All right. So that power to create any table, you have to really be careful who you grant that to. Normally, you grant that to an application user. Okay. Then you have the create any synonym. Okay. Those are created. You have things like the select any table rows, select any sequence. Okay. Then when you have the select any table rows, automatically you can also select any view, because views are made from tables. A view is actually a view of a table or more tables. Okay. So you have other things like drop any sequence. These are system roles. Drop any table. Okay. And you are very careful you don't give that kind of a role to anybody. Otherwise, you'll be dropping all your tables in your database. Okay? So these are all, you know, system privileges and they are very, very good. You know, if you have to give many of these privileges to somebody, the best way, if you, for instance, you have thousands of users on your database, and each of these users has similar privileges, what you can do is to create what we call a role. Okay? And to that role, you will now grant all those privileges. So when, instead of granting 15 privileges to every user, just grant that one role that has those 15 privileges to every user. For instance, now, I'm going to create a role. Try to practice this on your own. As the system administrator, I'm going to create a role. Create role. Okay. Security users. Okay. Then I'm going to say grant select any table to grant select any table. Okay. Grant select any sequence. Okay. Grant select any, sorry, create any table to so look at, I'm going to create a row called security users. Okay, and I'm going to grant select any table. Okay, let me move this down. This is a syntax error. Select any sequence and create any table to this row. Now, any user that exists within database, I can grant that role to that user. Just look at this example here. As the test user, I'm going to try to create a table under employee. Create table test user one dot. Let me just call it city. I'm not going to put one column in that city. The city is going to be called name. Okay. I'm going to call it a varchar 20. What's happening here? Hope the connection has not timed out. Has timed out the connection, so I go back on. When you have this problem, just connect back. Sorry. I'm going to change my password. My password now is now what? Remember? Was it? People. Hmm? Yes, I hope so. I wonder whether it's 1P or 2P that used. Hmm. A minute, let me see whether there's no problem here. Okay, 1521, you said, okay. Okay, probably the password is wrong. Let me just try people here. Oh, what's happening? Okay, not connected. That was a network problem. So what I'm going to do now is to try to create create that table again. It says what? Insufficient privileges. Okay, so I don't have that. So what I did first of all was to create a role, okay, called security users, and I granted select any table, select any sequence, and create any table to security users. Okay, now I'm going to grant that role, grant security users to the user called security user. Okay, so this is a role. Within this role, there is this select any table, select any sequence, and create any table. So I'm going to run that. I hope I still have that connection. The grant has been succeeded, so I'm going to now rerun the create table. Let me exit, connect again. This network problem, I hope it goes away. Okay, the timeout. Times you have these bottlenecks, straight behavior. Just try again. Since it's timing out again, so what I'm going to do, I'll just specify the port. Okay, it's not connected. So I'm going to see, I created it again, and what happens? The table is created. Why? Because now it has the create any table as a result of this role that I gave to it. Okay, so a role can save you a lot of problems. All right, if there are certain things I still cannot do with that user, but if I grant the appropriate role, that user will be able to do that thing right, or the appropriate privileges. Okay, so we have. I just want us to round up. That is a very easy topic. You have them a list of all these are privileges. These are system privileges. When you create a user, you might want to allow the user to be able to create a procedure. Remember, there's what we call a role called resource. Now, when you give somebody a resource role, okay, what happens is that the person, has the create table privilege, but the person does not have the create view privilege. Okay, that grant only gives you the possibility to create a cluster, to create an index type, to create operator, create procedure, create sequence, create table, create trigger, create type. But you cannot do other things like creating views, creating materialized views. You can't do every other thing. So you really have to validate properly what you're doing. Like create function, like create there are certain other objects that are missing. That's why it's always important to examine the needs of your users, in the phase, your developmental phase. Talk to them and you find out what. Okay, so the DBA role is something I should not give to everybody. It's only for you people who are working as database administrators, okay? Because you can drop users, you can create, you can do all kind of things. You can spy into data, you can do lots of things as a DBA. So you normally, as a DBA, you have to assign just the permissions that are enough for that user. In future, along the way, they might need more grants, more permissions. You give them gradually according to their needs. Okay, the adage, give us their daily bread. You just give them what is sufficient for them. Now, for instance, now we've just created a user, and I want that user to be able to insert rows into a table that is not his. How will you do that? Okay, you grant insert to an object. For instance, I can say, Let me just copy this in so I don't waste too much time. I can say grant insert on test user 1 employee to security user. So security user can now insert into test user 1 employees table. Okay. I can also add grant, delete. Okay. I can also add update. Okay. So let me just get a file. I'll just give a small example. Let me see the contents of that. 1 minute there. Okay. Sorry, second wait. Are we there? Let me just get this thing out of here, this employee table script, so you can see how tables are inserted into that. So you can see now I have granted the insert, delete, update on test user employees to what? To security user. Okay, I'm connected to security user from my DOS window here. And what I want to do is to insert this table, insert these values. But I'm going to change some things here a bit. Okay. Okay. So the data is a bit unique here. So I'm going to, if I do this, what happens? Oops. Seeing the connection standard again, I'm going to have to disconnect and connect again. Okay, let me do that. Okay, so you said the table does not exist. Why? I'm connected as the security user. It says I try to insert into employees. It tells me the table does not exist. What should I do? Because really, security user does not have a table. I have to go to the other user called test. Test what? Test user 1. Okay. Dot. Employees. Did I say employees there?
No.
Okay. Grant. In select. Let me grant. I'm granting insert, delete, update on this table to security user. Obviously, here what is happening is that the connection has also timed out, so I have to reconnect. If you have this problem, don't get frustrated. Just reconnect. That's all. Reconnect. Okay. Grant succeeded. Okay. So I'm now trying to. What happened? One role, because now it has the privilege. It also has the delete privilege. So I'm going to say delete from. Delete from.
That's
50 rows deleted. If I select all from, no rows. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to copy going to insert, copy these lines here. I'm going to insert it. I'm inserting it to somebody else's table because I have the privileges. Normally, I would not be able to. Oh, it's telling me employee does not exist. You know why? It does not exist. It's not my schema. So I'm going to put what they call it, test user one dot. That's the schema dot name of the table. I'm going to copy this. And if I repeat the select all from I could do this because I have the insert privilege, I have the delete privilege. I could update something. I can say I'm going to change analyst to developer. Okay, that's job. I'll just say update set job equal to developer, where job equals to analyst. Okay, it's updated it now. If I select that table again, you see, it's no more analyst, but now developer because I gave it the grants. Now I can do something they call revoke. I can say, look, I'm no more happy with you, so I'm going to revoke your grants. Okay, I can say revoke from. So revoke insert, revoke delete, revoke update on from security. So from now on, you have no more power to use that table. Okay. So let's try what we did before, and let us see whether it will now discover that it's no more Uhuru. You can still select, because I didn't revoke that. Let's try to delete. Insufficient privilege, because I've revoked it, you know. Let's try to insert. Insufficient privilege. Let's try to update. Insufficient privilege, because I've revoked it, the privilege. Now those are what we call object privileges, and they are very, very important. Okay. At times they might write you an email, or an email that you should create so and so user, and you know, give him grants to be able to select on this table, you know, to be able to select on that table, to be able to delete on that table, to be able to update on that table. Or they might just tell you, give him read-write grants on the table. When you say read-write grants, it all covers select, delete, insert, update. Okay, remember this because these are things that happen on a daily basis. Okay, so we've seen those are the major things, some of the major, you know, privilege and all that. So remember that the 6 DBA roles is something that goes beyond just operating with database objects. The 6 DBA role enables the user to perform administrative tasks like starting the database, okay, mounting the database, doing maintenance work. You call it as 6 DBA. You can create control. You can do many things as everything. You're virtually the alpha and omega of your database there, okay? And definitely you don't give that kind of privilege to everybody. Okay, the 6 DBA role at times is mapped to specific users within the system. Those users are defined in the sysdba group, and their password is stored in what we call a password file. So normally they don't have to be authenticated to connect to a database. They don't have to be authenticated through the data dictionary. For instance, now when I connect on the computer and I say SQL plus / as sysdba, I didn't put a password. Why? Because I am in what we call the sysdba group role. Are we there? Okay. You also have the sysupper role, but it's not very common. All these are users that have system privileges that go beyond just working with database objects. Okay. Understand that this is the first line of defense. I've told you. Okay. System privileges and object grants. And system privilege and object grants can be placed into roles. Okay, a role can be a mixture of object grants and system privileges. Okay, so the next method that is used for security is what we call auditing.